My role in this film was the lighting technician, which I did about maybe half the time. The other half of the time I was taking still photos of what we were filming, mainly as a document of what we had done. So this is mainly for people's blogs. Originally, I was going to work with Rob Knowles, Rob Dutton, Man Sandhu and Aman Chahal in New York for a film about a student lost in New York. After the volcano in Iceland, this obviously couldn't take place. So I decided that we would probably have to film a film in this country. But after looking into the possibility of filming abroad like we were going to do in New York, we decided to film in Paris. The reason I was going to go to New York in the first place was to work in an unfamiliar environment. Paris, as a substitute, required the same research and organisation that was called for in New York. This did mean that we had to communicate with some of the authorities in Paris, such as the Arts Commission and the authorities regarding filming at places like the Gare du Nord and the Eiffel Tower. I think the real reason why I filmed in Paris was because it was fairly near, considering it's only in France. It's also a very historic city, and Rob Knowles, our director, had written the script, which he actually titled Renaissance, which I still do believe is the title of the film, which would suit the location. I mean, the problems that we had regarding Paris was filming in the street and filming at landmarks, and the worst one was the Eiffel Tower, where we had to film. We could only film, for about 10 minutes on the top of the Eiffel Tower, and the French authorities wanted €500 for that, so we decided that we would film in the Champ de Mars. On the way back from Paris, we actually stopped off in Kent for the Medway Viaduct and actually filmed the Eurostar trains crossing over, as we could not find any stock footage at a reasonable price or anyone that could give it us for free, so we decided to film it ourselves. Again, at this point, I actually just took photos of the camera crew and the location instead of actually using lights, which were not needed as we were outside. A few weeks after we had returned back from Paris, we decided to film in Bedworth, where the rest of the shots were pretty much based. We filmed first at the Bedworth train station, and then we filmed in the town outside the almhouses, the doctors and the church. During this filming session, we only really used the lights once, and that was at the two end scenes, which were filmed inside Rob Knowles' house, which was the party scene where Chris and Amanda come back and meet Chris's parents, who are played by Rob and Chris's parents, and the scene where Chris is leaving for Paris, where his parents ignore him. At this point, it looked like my main opportunity to use my lighting skills was to film when we were going to film in a pub, which was one of the opening scenes of the film. Now, the later it came to the deadline, it did seem that using a pub was becoming harder and harder, because we'd all asked around local pubs and no one seemed to be really keen on it. So that was actually cancelled, and instead we used a shot of Chris and Rob talking in a car instead, which was a shame for me, because I would have liked to have used lighting techniques in a pub, which, pubs are generally dimly lit rooms, so that's something I'm a bit disappointed in. It was decided by all the group that we needed to go to St Pancras in London to film the Eurostar trains leaving St Pancras station, and also Chris getting onto one or walking into St Pancras station. Now, Rob Knowles, the director, had got in contact with Camden Borough Council, I think they're called, and they had got back to him and said you can, as students, you can work in a group of 4 for free, but any more would cost you £150. So therefore, me and Ammon had to stay behind and did not take any part in this part of the filming. The next bit of filming was actually in the Iceland store in Bedworth, which we actually were able to film in early on Sunday morning. We were thinking about using dodo lights for this, but we actually decided that the lighting inside the store would make it look more like a store, really, because it's sort of, the fluorescent lighting is really what you associate with a shop. So no dodo lights were used here again, but I was an extra in this part of the film. The next piece of filming we did was a news mock-up where Rob Dutton stood in front of a blue piece of material, which was a blue screen basically, and he read out the news report of the volcano erupting in Iceland. And we actually did use 2 dado lights for this, which was, I was pleased to kind of really use my skills in this one. The only problem with the dado lights was we stuck up the piece of blue cloth with blue tack, and it actually heated up the blue tack so much it fell down every 5 minutes, which was a bit of a pain in the backside. But other than that, I was quite pleased with the results of the lighting. We then actually came on to the final scenes we needed to shoot, and this was unique for me because Manager was actually not available for the day we had to film, and we were getting quite close to the deadline, so I took on the role of sound technician for this, which was actually quite unique for me because I learnt some new skills through this, such as where to put the boom mic at the right time, because I'd never used a boom mic before. I did learn quite a lot during the course of the 216 project. I mean, I learned that you just don't need a lecturer to tell you what to kind of do all the time. It's nice to have this creative freedom and also work with some people that you know pretty well anyway, because I have worked with these guys before. And overall, I'm quite pleased with how it's turned out, and I have learned that maybe just sticking to one role is not always a good idea. It's always good to take on different roles, like when I took on the sound technician, and also me taking photos of the actual shoots and things like that. I think overall, you know, I shouldn't really put myself into one role and also try my hand at different things. And I think I could get further in the field of media production as a whole, really.